in my latest hockey news. Top 5 trade candidates: Ben Bishop, Marc-Andre Fleury, Rick Nash, Kevin Shattenkirk, Matt Duchene. If Colorado decides to pull the trigger on Duchene, if they get off to a slow start this year, and they're having some troubles, regardless of what the record shows, they're having some troubles. Um, there'll be a lot of takers. Shattenkirk has been known to be out there for a while. Rick Nash, I don't know who takes him. He's iffy. Marc-Andre Fleury, there's been a lot of talk now about the Kings because Los Angeles has now got a situation where Jonathan Quick's going to be out for the next 3 months. I don't see Fleury as a good mix there because then what? Both Quick and Fleury are signed for long-term deals. Bishop makes more sense because Bishop's a free agent at the end of the year. But with Tampa off to a really good start, are they going to want to pull the trigger right now and go with Vasilevsky and get Levskis? I don't know. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. And then they got top 5 big game players: Sidney Crosby, Justin Williams, Patrick Kane, Jeff Carter, and Henrik Lundqvist. I won't argue with that list. Best mascots: Youppi in Montreal, Iceberg of the Penguins, Harvey the Hound in Calgary, Bailey in Los Angeles, and San Jose Sharky in San Jose. I don't see Oily the Oil Can there, but I still have hope. Best captains: 1, Jonathan Toews. I just heard the whole internet go nuts. 2, Sidney Crosby. 3, Shane Doan. 4, John Tavares. 5, Mikko Koivu. Top 5 play-by-play broadcasters: number 1, Chris Cuthbert. Number 2, Jim Houston. I'd put Houston ahead of Cuthbert, but it's splitting hairs, really. They're both really good. 3, Sam Rosen of the Rangers. 4, Mike Emmerich. 5, Gord Miller. I'd have Gord Miller ahead of Emmerich right now, personally. Best analysis: they've got Ray Ferraro at 1, Shane Hnidy at 2, Eddie Olczyk at 3, Pierre Maguire at 4, and 5, Joe Micheletti. Okay. Top 5 mystery men: Hampus Lindholm of Anaheim. This is just what you don't know. Players you don't know because they're secretive, they're quiet. 2, Vincent Trocheck of the Panthers. 3, Anton Strawman of the Lightning. 4, Roman Josi of Nashville. And 5, Boone Jenner of Columbus. So basically mostly young guys that just haven't been in the league very long. Top 5 owners: Jeff Vinik of Tampa Bay, Mike Ilitch of Detroit, Ted Leonsis in Washington, 4, Mark Chipman, Winnipeg, and 5, Terry Pegula of Buffalo. I'd have Pegula higher, but that's me. Sneaky sophomores, so sophomores you might not be betting on, but they're going to come up. 1, Colton Parayko of St. Louis. 2, John Gibson in Anaheim. I don't know. Gibson's had a rough start. Gibson can't afford to keep playing like this. 3, Sam Reinhart in Buffalo. Reinhart's been great. The biggest benefit in Buffalo to the Eichel injury is that Reinhart can step into the middle and produce, and that's what he's doing. No arguments with that one. 4, Noah Hanifin. Absolutely. Carolina's had 3 losses, but Hanifin hasn't been the problem. 5, Anthony Duclair in Arizona. Nobody cares about that. At best referees, nobody cares. Top 5 under the radar players: 1, Michael Backlund. 2, Andre Burakovsky. 3, Matthias Janmark, if only he wasn't injured. 4, Eric Hall of Minnesota. 5, Jean-Gabriel Pageau of the Ottawa Senators. Best women's players: Hilary Knight as number 1. No argument there. Hilary Knight is an American player who has the looks and the talent that if Americans ever pay attention to women's hockey, she's the one that you'd build around. She'd do for women's hockey what Hope Solo did for women's soccer, kind of thing. Brianna Decker, Marie-Philip Poulin, Kendall Coyne, and then Amarin Smashmeyer. So that's for anybody who says I don't talk about women's hockey. There just isn't very much in women's hockey to talk about right now. Top 5 masks, they go with Jake Allen, Scott Wedgwood's number 2, Jonas Corposalo number 3, number 4 Ryan Farragher, Farragher of San Diego Gulls because he's got Anchorman on it, and number 5 Scott Darling of Chicago. So as best I can, there's the. I don't know if I have a favorite out of there. I don't know why. There aren't other masks in there. There are other masks I would consider to be tops. Top 5 jerseys. So there's their top 5 jerseys list. I'm not going to state that Boston's not in there for any reason other than Boston should be in there. Boston should definitely be in there. Cats are driving me nuts. And then they got players to watch. It's not really a whole lot in here in terms of players to watch. It's just all the usual. It's all the basic stuff. NHL 17. They did the player roster update yesterday. I was very disappointed. There was one player I looked for right away, Thatcher Demko. Demko's not in there, which means that there's probably a lot of guys who are not yet in there for the American Hockey League. So that kind of ticks me off because I checked, Demko has played a game. They could have put Demko in the game yesterday and not gotten any kind of legal trouble. And for whatever reason, he's not in there. So it sucks. It really sucks because I was all set to play a file this morning, and then last night I looked at that. I started updating player ratings because Michael Kempney still rated as a 60. Gustav Forsling still had a ceiling of AHL top 2 defenseman. He had a low top 6. And obviously, he doesn't belong as a low top 6. So when I saw that, I wasn't happy. And I wasn't happy with a lot of ratings. Brandon Carlo is still a 67. I could say after watching Boston's first 3 games, that kid is fantastic. The Bruins are very fortunate to have a prospect like Carlo who can come in at 6'5", play a good offensive game. He's a big kid. He's a big kid. So if he develops quickly and if he can keep up the kind of play he's shown the first 3 games of his career, Boston's in pretty good shape on the blue line. And I didn't think I'd say that ever again. But with Krug, Chara, Carlo, and Lyles, it's a good enough top 4 that if their goaltending is playing well, they'll stay in the game. They won't get blown out. It's gonna be quite the season, I think, for 30 teams in the league. And it's also mentioned, Pierre LeBrun mentioned it yesterday, the difference between the team that's 30th overall and the team that's first overall is thinner than ever. So again, on my channel, if I say this team is going to finish at the bottom, this team's going to finish near the bottom, it's not that team's bad. It's just the dividing line is so thin, and I just feel that that team has less going for it than the team that I'm picking to finish first or finish where they're going to finish, because where I think they'll finish. I look a lot at, okay, so depth chart. What does their depth chart look like? And if injuries take place, can they absorb those injuries? And there are some teams that can, and there are some teams that just simply can't. They just can't. And that's part of the reason why, Canuck fans take a lot of shots at me. They don't have the room for injuries. And it's always weird to me how people say, well, last year there were injuries. Last year everybody had injury problems. Every team had injury problems. All of them. At one point in time or another, every team in the entire league has had injury problems on any given year. There are some very fortunate ones that don't have injury problems, but it's very rare that a team will go an entire season without major injury problems. So that is something I look at. Say, okay, if this team has, a couple guys out of the top 6 or, a guy out of the top 4, who steps in? Can they absorb it? So it's one of those things I consider. Anyways, I've got my day off, not really planned, but kind of sort of. I'm going over to Yvonne's to hang out with the kids a bit. I may take the computer with me. I will be watching hockey while I'm over there, if I'm over there that late. I don't know if I will be or not. But I just wanted to do a quick video before I left. The lists that I just gave you guys, if you guys have anything to add to it, go for it. We're still early enough in the season that we can say, hey, this is going to be a surprise. This is going to be a surprise. I think in terms of a surprise from my favorite teams that I've been watching, Brandon Carlo in Boston is going to be the big surprise, I think. Vancouver, I think Bo Horvat's offensive development is going to be a surprise, even to some who pick him to finish with 50 points. And in Dallas, from what I've seen so far, Adam Cracknell's been a huge surprise. I knew I liked Cracknell from when he was in Vancouver. I knew it was a good signing for Dallas. I was kind of surprised Vancouver just gave up on him last year, but he is playing really well for the Stars. It's a really good fit for him. So he could potentially be a real difference maker in that bottom six. Dallas has so much depth up and down the lineup, and Stephen Johns was a steal from Chicago. Johns is a really good defenseman, and I'm really impressed with his game all around. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop from here. Anyways, your opinions are always welcome, and thanks for watching. And it's funny, people have mentioned, there's been a couple mentions about how I did the fanboy thing yesterday, and that's sort of like what Steve Dangle does. I do not watch his videos. I'm not aware of anything he does. I don't base anything that I do on my channel on what anybody else does on any of theirs, because I don't watch other channels. I make sure that my content is me and mine, and that it's not influenced from anybody else, and that I can't even start worrying about it. Because the moment I start worrying during making a video or when I'm deciding what to do for a video, was this done by this person? Oh wait, this was done by so and so. Am I okay? The whole thing falls apart. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.